All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're exploring a huge idea, something that goes all the way back to the very beginning of everything. Our source material calls it the pulse of divine heart. So here's the question that really kicks this whole thing off. For a minute, forget about how the universe started. Let's ask why. What was going on in God's heart before anything else existed? What kind of impulse could possibly be powerful enough to spark all of creation into being? To even get close to answering a question that big, the source material says we actually have to reframe the whole thing. We need to start by asking a bigger question. And this slide really gets to the heart of it. So often we get stuck on the question you see on the left. Does God exist? It's a debate that can go on forever. But what if we shifted our focus? What if, instead, we started with the question on the right? What kind of being is God? See the difference? We're moving from a debate about existence to an exploration of character, of nature. And once you make that little shift in perspective, it naturally leads to the next step. If we're exploring the nature of a creator, then we have to ask about motivation. So let's talk about creation's intention. And this is just a brilliant way to lay out the logic. The idea here is that the universe is no accident. It all started with a desire in God's heart. That deep internal feeling then led to an act of creation. And that act, it's literally an expression of that original intention. The result is what we have right now, a universe that's absolutely filled with purpose. It's like every part of it has an echo of that very first desire. So what is this core desire? What's the fundamental nature of this creator we're talking about? Well, this leads us right to the central idea of this whole explainer, understanding God as a being of heart. The source text we're drawing from, which refers to a body of work called the divine principle, just puts it out there, plain and simple. It says that God is, at the most fundamental level you can imagine, a being of heart. Okay, but heart is a loaded word, right? What does it actually mean here? It's not just an emotion like we might think of it. The source gives a very, very specific definition, and this is crucial. Heart is an impulse to seek joy through love. An impulse to seek joy through love. Just let that phrase sit with you for a second. It's packed with so much meaning. So let's unpack it a little bit more and talk about this impulse for joy. The source really wants us to focus on that first word, an impulse. This isn't a casual thought or some choice made on a whim. An impulse is a fundamental, driving, absolutely undeniable force. It's presented as the very engine of God's being, the core motivation that defines everything. So what's this love like? Well, first off, it's absolute and unconditional. It's the core of God's being, and it just flows outward toward all of creation. But here's the real key, the part that completes the circle. That joy this impulse is seeking, it's only truly fulfilled when that love is returned. It's not a one-way street. It's a relationship. It's a dynamic of giving and receiving that actually creates the joy. Okay, so this is all some pretty fascinating cosmic level stuff. But the source material is quick to bring it right back down to earth to a personal level. Which leads to the big question, what does this mean for us? This quote really just makes the connection crystal clear. Since we're part of that creation, the purpose behind God's creating touches the purpose behind our own lives. In other words, if we're all expressions of that original intention, then that same impulse for joy through love is literally woven into the fabric of our own lives, into our own purpose. And so that's what we want to leave you with, this final, powerful question to think about. If this whole universe was born from a divine impulse to find joy through love, then what joy are you meant to create? It's the ultimate takeaway from the pulse of the divine heart.